Hey, Lindsay Banks here, psychic medium, intuitive and channeler. In today's episode of A Conversation With, I spoke with the spirit of Stephen Foster. Now, I didn't know who this chap was until he came through. He's also known as the father of music in America, and he was a songwriter and wrote many famous parlour and minstrel songs back in the 1800s. So, the way that Stephen Foster came through to me was all of a sudden one morning I was in my kitchen and I started singing Oh Susannah really loudly in my mind. So if you haven't heard the song, it goes a little bit like this. Oh Susannah, won't you cry for me? Oh, I came from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. I kept singing it and singing it and singing it, and I didn't know why, so I googled it to see who wrote it, and it was Stephen Foster who wrote this song in 1848. So Stephen Foster was white and came from a very rich family in America, and it states on Wikipedia that they did not support the abolition of slavery. So from what I read about him afterwards was that they had black people as slaves working for them, or as servants. But Stephen Foster, apparently in the 1850s, he was associated with abolitionist leader, and he also wrote an abolitionist play himself. So stay tuned, because this is what Stephen Foster had to say to me. Thank you for taking the time to share this, Lindsay. It has been a long time since I passed, but I feel now is the time to clear the air. I know you read a bit about my story yesterday, but I needed to share the truth. My death was staged. I had become an embarrassment to my family. White, rich and privileged. They had black servants and weren't particularly pleasant to them. They would ignore them or make derogatory comments. They were against the idea of abolishing slavery, for who would cook their dinners and look after the house? Growing up, I knew I was different to them. I loved music and found that I was given the notes and words to write. I suppose it is like you channeling your messages now. That's what I was doing with the tunes and songs. I kept singing, so I asked him, I kept singing Oh Susannah, which has the word, or the N word in it, and why did you write that? This is what Stephen said. You have to remember, Lindsay, that it was a different time back then. I am not excusing the fact that I wrote it, but in 10 years your language will also have changed, yet it will still be there amongst the books and songs that have been created. It has been interesting from this side to watch and see how events have unfolded. I never saw myself as racist. I didn't see the colour of people's skin. I saw their souls. And if their souls were gentle and kind, I was energetically pulled towards them. I treated them as I would any other human being. My song sold over 10,000 copies, the most in the US at that time. However, I didn't receive payment for it. When I moved to New York City, it liberated me. I felt more freedom there. I became very good friends with Connor. He was very liberal and political and supported slavery abolition. I allied with the cause. My parents got wind and were horrified. They didn't want their son, who was quite well known by this point, to embarrass them. They didn't want me to bring shame upon the family. My death was staged. It was my brother who killed me. He placed the note and money in my pocket and told the police I'd fallen over. I didn't. He had tried to reason with me and tell me not to support the movement, but I would not be swayed. I felt very passionate about it. We are all human beings and nobody should be a slave to anyone else. I may not have made some very good decisions in my lifetime, but choosing to support the abolition of slavery felt like the right thing to do, especially after seeing the way my parents treated these beautiful souls. So I asked him, why are you coming through now? He said, regardless of the colour of one's skin, this is a time where everyone needs to unite, to stand up for the common values you all share: honesty, integrity, love, and peace. To fight for a land of the people, by the people, for the people. Thank you for your time. We are all here with you during this time. So that was Stephen Foster's words to me. I have no idea who is going to come through next. I just sit and sometimes they come through. So please do check out my other conversations with, if you haven't already. We've got Cleopatra, Princess Diana, Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King. Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Thank you. Hey, Lindsay Banks here, psychic, medium, intuitive and channeler. And in this conversation with series, I am bringing you a conversation with Stephen Foster. Now, you might not have heard of this chap, but he is one of the best known American blah, blah, blah.